Stories of resistance are universal.
They remind us that the fight for identity, freedom, and rights is not just confined to one place or time. In Midnight Sweat Lodge by Wapanshig Rice, indigenous characters fight to protect their land, their culture, and their connection to Mother Earth. Protesters, myself included, took to the streets to stand up for our rights and our future. These struggles, though different, share a common thread.
The courage to fight for what matters most.
In this short video, we explore what these stories teach us about standing up for our rights and why it is worth fighting. In Midnight Sweat Lodge, we meet characters who are deeply connected to their land and culture.
Their fight is not just against physical threats, but against the erasure of their identity.
The book explores the themes of loss, resilience, and the enduring bond between people and their heritage. When a character reflects on the struggle by saying,
"Your father gave his life for our land and our people. No one will ever forget that. Not too long ago we lost our way and we still haven't found it. But he helped us point us in the right direction, and we'll get there."
If you want to break this down, the phrase "gave his life" it's very powerful, because it shows that it's not just about death, but about sacrifice. The father's death is framed as an act of love and dedication to his people and their land. The repetition of our land and our peoples emphasizes the collective identity of the community. Their land and their people are inseparable. The line "we lost our way and we still haven't" uses metaphor to describe a spiritual and cultural disconnection. It's not just about physical land, but about losing their cultural path. Yet there's hope in the words, "He helped us point us in the right direction." The father's sacrifice becomes a guiding light, a symbol of resistance and hope for the future. Like characters in Midnight Sweat Lodge, protesters in Iran fought for something much deeper than their immediate circumstances. The protests began in response to the death of Mahsa Amini, a young woman who was arrested for allegedly violating Iran's hijab laws. I was there myself. I walked the streets, stood with the crowd, and felt the energy of people united by a common cause. We weren't just protesting a law. We were fighting for our identity, our culture, our dignity, and our future. Just as the characters in Midnight Sweat Lodge fight to protect their land and their culture, we were fighting to protect our right to define who we are and how we live. In the book, the characters' connection to their land is sacred. It's where their traditions, stories, and identities reside. For us in Iran, the fight was also about something sacred, the right to control our own bodies and lives. Both struggles remind us that when we fight for our rights, we're fighting for the every essence of who we are. It was pure passion for who they were and what they stood for. The quote is short, but loaded with meaning. The word pure emphasizes intensity and sincerity of their passion. It's not just any passion, it's unattained, wholehearted, and deeply rooted in their identity. The phrase "love for who they were" highlights the emotional core of the fight. It's not just about survival, but about preserving their sense of self. The repetition of what they stood for reinforces the idea that the fight is not just physical, but ideological. They're standing for their values, their culture, and their future. This mirrors the passion of the protesters in Iran, who are driven by a love for their freedom and their right to define their own lives. Iran's protests changed me. It showed me the power of standing together, even in the face of danger. It reminded me that rights are not given, they are fought for. Reading Midnight Sweat Lodge deepened my understanding. Both stories remind us that resistance is not just about fighting against something, it's about fighting for something. These stories also raise important questions. What does it mean to lose your right? And how do you find it again? How do we honor those who have sacrificed our rights? And how can we as individuals and communities support who we're still fighting? For me, the answer is clear. We must stand up. We must fight if necessary. Because when we do, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone who comes after us. It wasn't sand they were digging up and hauling away. It was identity, tradition, the bond between Mother Earth and her children, us. The quote is rich with symbolism. The phrase, "it wasn't just sand," uses understatement to emphasize the deeper loss. What's being taken is not just physical, but spiritual and cultural. The repetition of identity tradition, the bond, highlights the interconnectedness of these elements. The metaphor of Mother Earth and her children personifies the land as a living and nurturing identity, emphasizing the scared relationship between people and their environment. This also mirrors the protesters in Iran who were not just fighting for policies and laws, but for their identity and their right to live authentically. If the story resonates with you, I kindly want to ask you to take action. Learn more about the struggles of marginalized communities. Support organizations that fight for freedom and justice. And most importantly, use your voice to stand up for what you believe in. Because when we fight for our rights, we fight for everyone's rights.